There is a quiet strangeness in this life, that everything you once longed for seems to appear only when you stop trying so hard, when you stop running, when you loosen your grip, when you start to breathe again. Everything you once chased begins to return, light as if it had never left, not because you gave up, but because you stopped resisting the way the universe moves. Alan Watts once said, "When you let go, everything begins to happen." And though it sounds simple, hidden inside is a paradox most of us forget. The tighter we hold, the more we lose. Think of the last time you wanted something deeply, a person, an opportunity, a result. How hard did you try? You thought about it all day, shaped it with your will, pushed, clung, afraid that if you didn't act, it would slip away, and yet it left anyway, faster than water through the spaces between your fingers, like trying to hold a river in a closed hand, forgetting that water only stays when the hand is open. Life never listens to the one who grips. It listens to the one who releases. We live in a world that teaches control as survival. Since childhood, we've been praised for mastery, for plans, for being in command. And so we grow up believing that without control, everything will fall apart. But what we don't see is that the fear of losing is what quietly drains the life out of us. Because when you hold too tightly, nothing new can be born. And when you live too far ahead, you stop seeing what is here now. Letting go is not giving up. It is a change of state, from fear to trust, from tension to flow. It is the moment you say to life, "I've done my part. Now I allow the rest to unfold." And when you live this way, something subtle happens. You no longer get everything you want. You simply stop needing everything to feel whole. This is not about quitting effort, but about releasing strain while still moving. It is about seeing why effort born from fear blocks energy, and why when you let go, everything begins to move in rhythm again. In the end, you will understand that everything you ever sought was never outside of you. It has been waiting, quietly, for you to open your hands. Have you noticed that most of your exhaustion doesn't come from what you do, but from how hard you try to make things go your way? Everything goes quiet. You want someone to love you the way you imagine. You want your work to unfold according to the plan you made, and you want life to follow logic, safety, and order. But life has never obeyed the maps written in our minds. It is softer, harder to hold, and far more beautiful when we stop trying to tighten our grip. Yet most of us live with closed hands. Since childhood, we've been taught that success belongs to those who never let go, that if we stop, everything will fall apart. So we grow up carrying a quiet fear. If I don't control it, I will lose everything. But in truth, it is that fear that slowly takes everything from us, our joy, our peace, our connection to this moment. Have you ever realized that you are living in defense mode? Always ready to react, always afraid that if you don't send the first message, they will drift away. Always believing that if you don't push harder, the chance will disappear. That isn't discipline, it's fear. And fear makes your energy shrink, like a stream blocked by the very stones you threw into it. Alan Watts once said, "Control is the finest illusion ever created by man." We think we are directing life, but really we are only building a play to protect ourselves from uncertainty. And when things fall apart, we call it failure, when in truth, it's just life restoring the rhythm we've held back for too long. If you've ever felt like you are standing in the middle of your own story, holding everything tightly while it keeps slipping through your fingers, you're not alone. We're all learning the same lesson, to trust, even when we can't yet see. In nature, nothing moves by force. Water doesn't try to flow, the wind doesn't push to blow, and the seed doesn't strain to bloom. Only humans believe that the more we push, the closer we get to what we want, when in truth, that is the moment we drift farthest from it. Because the energy of life doesn't respond to effort, it responds to state. When you try too hard, when you need something to happen, you're sending a signal of lack into the universe. Everything goes quiet. The universe doesn't understand the language of words. It only understands the vibration you emit, and that vibration says, I don't have. But when you soften, when you release the need to control, your frequency changes from fear to trust, from tension to flow, and that is when everything begins to arrive. Alan Watts called this the paradox of effort. The less you strain, the closer you are to your true nature, and from that place, what is meant for you naturally finds its way. Like standing in water, the more you struggle, the more you sink. Only when you stop fighting do you begin to float. Life doesn't punish anyone. It simply mirrors the energy they live in. If you act from tension, your results will carry that same tone, tight, heavy, incomplete. But when you act from trust, everything feels lighter, even if the work remains the same. The issue is never in what you do, but in the energy behind it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means doing without demanding, moving without needing every outcome to fit your plan. It is saying, I will do my part, and I'll let life take care of the rest. And strangely, when you live this way, things begin to align. Opportunities arrive with ease. People show up at the right time. What once felt late turns out to be perfectly timed. Because life has never been slow. It's only us who keep walking out of rhythm. If this is making you feel a little lighter, stay with me, because in the next few moments, you'll understand the deepest reason we keep repeating the cycle of control and how to finally step out of it. Humans do not fear losing what they have. They fear losing the sense of control over it. From an early age, we are taught that the world is unsafe, that if we don't hold on tightly, we will be robbed, that if we don't keep trying, we will fall behind. That belief becomes the root of all our anxieties, and from there, everything we do begins in fear. Alan Watts once said, we have been trained to trust fear more than the intelligence of life itself. And it's true. Instead of trusting the natural flow, we trust our plans, even though they are infinitely smaller than the wisdom of existence. Everything goes quiet. Have you noticed how, whenever things don't go your way, the first voice that rises in you is panic? You think, I'm about to lose everything. But that isn't the truth. It's an old instinct being reactivated. Jung called this the mechanism of the survival ego, the part of us that wants to dominate everything because it cannot stand uncertainty. It whispers, if I don't know what will happen, I'm not safe. So we plan, we control, we monitor, we push. But in doing so, we disconnect from the real rhythm of life. Think of how many times in your life something seemed to fall apart and you were certain it was the end, only to realize months later that it was the beginning of something better. That wasn't luck. That was life's intelligence at work, a kind of wisdom you cannot understand with thought, only with trust. Yet because we've been conditioned by fear, whenever life takes something away, we call it unfair, instead of seeing that the space is being cleared for something greater. The pain of losing control is only the echo of a younger self, the child who once felt safe only when someone was holding their hand. But now you've grown, and what you need to hold isn't another's hand, but your own breath. When things start to fall from your grasp, don't rush to pick them up. Look closer. Maybe they were simply too heavy to carry any longer. Trust that if a door closes, it's not the end. It's life's way of saying you no longer need that door. Alan Watts said, "Reality never hurts you. Only resistance to reality does." And that is the whole mechanism of suffering. We do not suffer because of life. We suffer because we refuse to let life lead. If you stay until the end, you'll see what most people never realize about letting go. That letting go isn't the loss of control. It's the first moment you've ever truly had it. Imagine you are standing beside a river. The water is cool, clear, shimmering in the light. You bend down, scoop some into your hands. For a moment you want to hold on to it to feel it longer. So you close your fist, but the water slips away through your fingers. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. And when you finally open your hand, only a few drops remain. Everything goes quiet. Love, opportunity, life, they are all water. You cannot possess them by pressure. You can only feel them when your hands are open. Alan Watts once said, "If you wish to grasp water, you must do the opposite. Let it flow through you." That is the paradox of living. We think holding on is protection, but in truth, holding on is how we lose. Humans clutch everything: plans, relationships, identities, believing that control will make them safe. But can you see it? The harder you hold, the more exhausted you become, and the more distorted what you're trying to keep becomes. Letting go isn't abandoning. It's opening your hand so water can be water. When you open your hand, the river doesn't disappear. It simply flows where it was always meant to go. And the miracle is, once you stop trying, the water doesn't leave you. It surrounds you. Life works the same way. When you stop trying to control it, you don't lose your grip. You finally join the current. Think of those moments when things unfolded effortlessly, without a plan, yet perfectly aligned. The unexpected meeting, the idea that arrived when you stopped thinking, the opportunity that appeared right after you gave up hope. That was you, with an open hand. When you learn to open your hand in everything, love, work, the future, you'll see that nothing truly leaves. Some people stay, some things return, and some were never gone at all. You were just holding too tightly to notice. Alan Watts said, "Life is like water. If you let it flow, it will carry you to where you need to be. If you try to dam it, it will find another way." So instead of trying to control the direction, learn to float, relax, and let the river lead you. Maybe you are in one of those moments. The kind where you've tried everything, done all you could, yet things still refuse to fall into place. You whisper to yourself, "What am I doing wrong?" And the answer, perhaps, is far simpler than you think. You're trying to hold water. You want someone to understand you, so you explain again and again, hoping one last sentence might change something. You want your career to move faster, so you stay up later, worry harder, afraid to miss a chance. You want peace, yet every night before sleep, your mind keeps running laps. Everything goes quiet. It's not that you haven't tried enough, it's that you've been trying in the wrong direction. You've been using the energy of fear to search for something that only appears in the energy of trust. Your body has been telling you this for a long time. The heavy shoulders, the stiff neck, the shallow breath. That is the body's way of saying the mind no longer trusts the flow. Alan Watts once said, "Your body knows how to live better than your mind does." And if you pause long enough to listen, you'll hear life whisper, "It's time to open your hands." When you stop trying to prove yourself, you don't grow weaker. You allow what truly belongs to you to return. When you stop sending the extra message, stop pleading, stop believing you must have the answer, you create space for what's real to arrive. But the scariest thing for the human mind isn't loss. It's not knowing what happens when control ends. Jung called this the creative void, the moment when the ego dissolves so truth can begin. That void is the threshold of freedom. Many fear it and turn back to grasp again. But if you're brave enough to stay, you'll see something miraculous. Nothing collapses. Everything rearranges. The right people appear. The right doors open. The things that once terrified you start to lose their weight. You realize the world never needed you to control it. It only needed you to trust. It's time to look again at the phrase the world keeps whispering. Keep trying, and you'll get what you want. It sounds positive, but hidden underneath is a quiet assumption that you are not enough. And that belief keeps you running. You run toward the future, hoping to feel complete, but the more you run, the farther that feeling drifts away. Everything goes quiet. Can you see it? Every effort that begins with "I must have" carries the vibration of lack, and everything that comes effortlessly begins from sufficiency. Alan Watts said, "You cannot become what you are trying to be, because the act of trying already implies that you are not it." When you let go, you don't lose motivation. You simply move out of the energy of forcing and return to the energy of presence. Letting go doesn't mean stopping action. It means ceasing resistance. You still act, still create, still move, but from a calm knowing that life already holds its own rhythm. Jung called this the state of wholeness, says, where you no longer act out of fear of missing something, but out of the joy of being alive. When you live from wholeness, your actions feel lighter, your words clearer, and everything you touch begins to unfold with ease. When you live from lack, even good deeds carry the scent of fear. It's like planting a tree. If you keep digging it up to check whether the roots have grown, it dies. But if you trust and tend gently, it blossoms. The difference is not in what you do, but in the frequency you do it. From today, try changing the language inside you. When you feel anxious, instead of asking, "What must I do now?" whisper, "Everything is arranging itself." When you feel fear, instead of commanding, "Don't be afraid," say, "I'm learning to trust." When you feel empty, don't beg life to fill you. Say, "I am enough." These are not affirmations to comfort you, but reminders that you are shifting from the frequency of control to the frequency of trust. And once you shift, the world shifts with you. Because the world is not something outside you. It's a mirror reflecting what you believe within. The phrase "letting go" sounds like an ending, but it's really a beginning. The moment you stop fighting the current and, for the first time, float. And in that moment, you don't just see life, you become part of its flow. Letting go is not a skill. It is a memory you once forgot. When you were a child, you trusted the flow. You didn't try to make the sun rise, nor did you worry about who would stay. Then you grew up and fear arrived. Fear of being late, fear of losing, fear of not being enough. From there, you began to tighten your grip. Everything goes quiet. Today, you can begin again. No grand ritual, just 3 small things. But if you truly do them, they will open a door you closed long ago. 1. Pause when you want to control. The moment you feel yourself pushing, take a deep breath. Not to calm down, but to remember that you are alive. Each breath is proof that something greater than you is already moving your life. 2. Release what no longer fits. A hope, a message, a person. You don't need to forget them. Just let them drift away. Like standing in a river, opening your hand and letting the water pass through. 3. Trust the silence. When nothing seems to happen, don't panic. It's not emptiness. It's soil preparing for what is about to bloom. Alan Watts said, "It's the space between the notes that makes the music." Your life is the same. You don't have to let go of everything in one day. Just choose one thing and allow it to be free. Then you'll see, when you stop trying, life begins to do its part. Gently, naturally, quietly. Like the wind, you only feel it move across your skin when you stop trying to hold it. Alan Watts once said, "You cannot hold on to life any more than you can hold on to your breath. You can only breathe with it." And perhaps that is all we ever need to learn. Humans spend so many years trying to control what was never theirs to begin with. The emotions of others, the shape of the future, the way the universe arranges itself. Yet the more we try, the farther we drift. Everything goes quiet. Think of the last time things didn't go according to plan, and somehow turned out right. A chance meeting, a door that closed only to open in another direction. Life has always had its own rhythm. It's just that we seldom have the patience to see that it's working for us. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept dissolves." Letting go is that acceptance. Not surrender, but the quiet act of facing what is and saying, "All right, I'm here." When you stop resisting, you don't become weaker. You simply become transparent enough for the current to move through you. Life never needed you to be so strong. It only needed you to be present. When you soften, things begin to rearrange themselves. The right people arrive at the right time. Opportunities appear as gently as breath, and you begin to see that what you once called loss was merely energy shifting form. Nothing is ever truly gone. It only changes shape. Someone leaves so that another part of you has room to grow. A dream closes so that a truer one can unfold. You might not believe this right away, but if you look closely, you'll see. There has never been a single moment in your life when you weren't being held. Even when you thought you were falling, there was always an invisible hand beneath you, called the flow. And in that moment of recognition, you understand. Letting go doesn't mean losing control. Letting go means you have become the river itself. One day, you will stop trying to make things happen. You will simply sit still, feel the wind touch your skin, and know life is still moving perfectly without any instruction from you. Worry softens into breath. The feeling of lack becomes a quiet space, and you begin to see that you never had to do anything to be loved, to be alive, to be worthy. Everything you were chasing has been here all along, waiting for you to open your hands. Everything goes quiet. Alan Watts said, "When you realize that holding on is the cause of loss, you smile and let go." And you do. Not because you're tired, but because you trust. You trust that the water knows the way to the sea. You trust that what is meant will find who it's meant for. You trust that even when nothing seems to happen, life is still turning in perfect rhythm. If you're still here, perhaps a part of you is ready, not to control anymore, but to trust. And if you feel that, write in the comments, "I choose to trust my flow." Then close your eyes and take a slow breath. Feel it move in and out, like the rhythm of waves. Life is still flowing through you, gently, evenly, and always enough.